Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tackling a word that gets tossed around the business world constantly, but is actually surprisingly tricky. That word is quality. We're going to break down what it really means, why it is literally a matter of survival for companies, and exactly how they manage to achieve it. Okay, picture this. You've got a stunning, multi-million-dollar luxury sports car on one side. On the other, a cheap, plastic, wind-up toy you'd buy for maybe $2. So which one has high quality? Now, your gut reaction is probably to point straight at that sports car, right? I mean, in everyday life, we totally equate quality with expensive luxury. But in the business world, that's actually a trick question. Here's the thing. In business, quality just means producing a good or service that meets customer expectations. Basically, is it fit for purpose? A luxury car has to deliver insane performance and flawless design because, well, you're paying a fortune for it. But that $2 toy car? As long as it drives across the floor and doesn't shatter the second you wind it up, it's actually considered high quality. Why? Because it perfectly meets the expectations of the person who bought it. Getting this balance right is absolutely crucial. When a company nails quality, they build massive brand loyalty, secure a premium image, and reel in new customers through a stellar reputation. It's the foundation of their success. But man, if they get it wrong, the fallout is brutal. You instantly lose customers to rivals, your costs go completely through the roof because you're constantly replacing broken goods, and you might even face massive lawsuits from consumer protection agencies. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap. First, quality control. Second, quality assurance. Third, total quality management. Fourth, quality marks. And finally, some real-world applications. All right, Section 1, Quality Control, Catching Mistakes. Quality control is sort of the old-school, traditional way of doing things. The whole philosophy here is catching faults at the very end of the production line, right before the product goes out the door. Companies do this by setting up a dedicated quality control department full of specialist inspectors who randomly sample finished goods to check for errors. Oh, and if you're in a service business, like a restaurant, this is exactly where you'd use a mystery shopper to secretly test the food and service at the end of the night. Now, what's really interesting about this is the fatal flaw of quality control. Yes, it has pros. It keeps faulty stuff away from your customers, and you don't have to train your regular floor workers as much because the specialists handle all the checking. But the cons, they are huge. Inspectors are really expensive, and worse, the system is incredibly wasteful. If an inspector finds a fault at the very end of the line, all the materials, all the time spent building that product, completely wasted. You might have to scrap the entire batch. Plus, finding a broken product doesn't actually tell you why it broke in the first place. Which brings us to Section 2, Quality Assurance Preventing Mistakes. So quality assurance completely flips the script to solve that massive waste problem. Step 1, set strict standard rules for every single design and part from the get-go. Step 2, and this is a real game changer. Instead of waiting for an inspector at the end, every single employee checks their own work during and after their specific stage. And Step 3 is the payoff. You actually prevent faults from moving forward. This cuts waste dramatically, because if something goes wrong, you catch it at minute 1, not at the end of the day. Moving right along to Section 3, TQM systems, the zero-fault culture. While quality assurance is a huge step up, there's a modern approach that takes this to the absolute extreme. It's called TQM, or Total Quality Management. It's heavily inspired by Japanese business practices, and the mantra is simple but intense. Zero faults. Getting it right, first time, every time. This isn't just a rulebook, it's a total mindset shift. Under TQM, quality is everyone's obsession, from the receptionist answering the phones all the way up to the CEO in the boardroom. To actually pull this off, businesses use two really fascinating concepts. First up, the internal customer. This means you treat your own colleagues like paying buyers. So the billing department, they treat the shipping department like a VIP client who deserves absolutely flawless, error-free paperwork. The second concept is Kaizen, which usually involves setting up quality circles. These are small teams of workers who meet up regularly to brainstorm solutions and continuously tweak their workflow to eliminate waste. And this brilliantly illustrates the whole journey. Look at how the main goal evolves here, from just finding faults in QC to preventing them in QA, all the way to continuous improvement with TQM. And check out the waste levels at the bottom row. Quality control, high waste, because you're throwing out finished batches. Quality assurance, low waste, because you catch things earlier. But TQM is aiming for literally zero waste. Now, moving from left to right on this matrix takes a massive amount of training and a complete culture overhaul. But for a business, the financial payoff of eliminating all that waste is gigantic. All right, Section 4, Quality Marks, Earning Trust. Now, you might be wondering, if a company spends millions building these amazing internal systems, how do they actually prove it to a customer who can't just stroll into their factory? Well, they get a quality mark. It's an official, independent seal of approval. The gold standard around the world is the ISO certification, like ISO 9001. If a business has this, it means an outside, independent group has rigorously inspected their operations and verified they meet top-tier standards. And they have to pass strict, ongoing audits to keep it. Why go through the hassle? Because in the corporate world, massive buyers will often only do business with suppliers holding an ISO mark. It's the ultimate trust builder. Finally, Section 5, Real-World Applications, Case Studies. Let's take all this theory and ground it in reality with two totally different giants, Rolls-Royce and McDonald's. Rolls-Royce builds incredibly complex aircraft engines. For them, a single defect could cause a life-or-death catastrophe, so they go all in. They combine QA, TQM, and those end-of-line specialist inspectors to guarantee absolutely zero defects. Now look at McDonald's. Totally different goal. They just want to make sure a burger tastes the exact same whether you're eating it in Tokyo or Toronto. So they rely on intensely strict checklists for their stuff. That guarantees consistency and perfectly meets customer expectations every time without needing a jet engineer's level of scrutiny. So let's wrap this explainer up with a quick thought experiment for you. Imagine you manage DR, a brand that makes those super cheap $2 flip-flops for supermarkets. Your operations manager comes to you and says, hey, we need to hire a bunch of expensive quality control inspectors and maybe even spend years earning a pricey ISO mark. Based on everything we just covered about being fit for purpose, where a budget item just needs to work without falling apart, what's your move? Does spending a fortune on flawless quality management make any sense for a $2 shoe? Or would those costs just completely bankrupt your budget brand? Think about that delicate balance between what a customer expects and what it actually costs to produce. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.